Hello, I'm the Luke Cartographer, and this is my take on Fallout First, the much discussed $100 a year Fallout 76 subscription service announced by Bethesda yesterday, October 23rd, 2019. There are a few things I'm going to say on this, and it's going to take a minute, but I'm going to start out with my first impression when I saw the announcement, and it is as follows. Now, what are you thinking? Now, the timing of this announcement was absolutely atrocious in the wake of the delay of the Wastelanders DLC. Just to recover ground from my tweet in response to Bethesda yesterday, seen at least by my one Twitter follower, shout out to you, buddy, that I can easily see how this whole project has been in the works for some time, but that when Wastelanders was delayed, that this should have been delayed as well. And I say this not even because what they're offering is necessarily a bad thing, we'll get to that in a minute, but because they have to know what the appearance has been to outsiders for months now. That it's a buggy cash grab. I've been playing Fallout 76 since the beta, and while I've had my fair share of issues and bugs and connectivity issues, I've enjoyed the game and the lore that the world has to offer. Outsiders who have not been playing the game have been deriding it from the very start for the lack of NPCs and the bugs and connectivity issues, the atomic shop, the pre-order bonus issues, and most recently for the postponing of Wastelanders. The derision doesn't really hurt my enjoyment of the game, but it does create a public perception of Fallout 76. And it influences the possibility that we'll get more players in the game, and thus it influences the amount of additional content we'll get. The announcement of Fallout First coming when it did was a massive PR mistake, and I fear that it's not only going to harm the prospect of additional people joining the game in the future, but I have to think that there's going to be some current players that will stop playing in protest. Now let's talk about what they're offering in this subscription, and I'll then tell you what I'm thinking about it overall. First, Private Worlds, a private world for you and up to 7 friends, regardless of whether or not they have a Fallout First status. 2. Scrap Box, unlimited scrap storage for your stash. 3. Survival Tent, basically a tiny camp that allows you to keep your main camp in a more permanent spot while having access to your stash at a second personal fast travel point. 4th, 1,650 atoms a month. 5th, the Ranger Armor outfit, a Charleston Police Department riot gear suit that looks a lot like the Fallout New Vegas Desert Ranger armor. 6th, icons and emotes. Let's start with the biggest mistake that Bethesda has made here, and that's by no mean outsizing the next mistake by that much, but it's the marketing of the system. It's been absolutely abysmal. Tying private servers together with the rest of this stuff as though they have the same value and calling it a membership is, in my view, the main source of the bad press it's been getting. Private servers are not free. It makes sense to charge for them. I did a small amount of research and found that $100 a year is not that crazy a price to pay for a private game server. The second big issue here is the nature of the private servers themselves. Bethesda calls them private worlds rather than private servers, and the potential technical differences between these are troubling. These private worlds are not set up like game servers usually are. First, you have limited control over who can join your server. It seems at this time that anyone who's on your friend list without invitation can see you in your world and come on in. Second, you have no extra controls over the world. In most private game servers, you have the ability to set the time of day, change the weather, teleport to a specific location, spawn things in, etc. Third, the server is not persistent. The Fallout First member has to be online for it to be up, which is not the typical thing for a private server to do. I play on a Minecraft Realms server with my brother, one that he pays for, but he doesn't have to be on for me to be on it. Simply, anyone he has invited to be in that server can be in it, and it turns itself on. From these 3 things, it seems that this is nothing more than a new game mode similar to what Survival was. Characters are persistent across adventure and private world modes, and this to me appears to be Bethesda trying to prevent people from, in effect, cheating by going from private worlds to adventure worlds, taking their spoils from the private world with them. But let's move on to the next offering, the Scrap Box. The Scrap Box is a problem, and it has problems. People have been asking for more stash space since the game launched. While it has expanded from 400 to 600 and then 600 to 800, many of us have never felt that there was enough space. When Bethesda was asked for a bigger stash space, we were told that it was not possible due to server stability issues that would arise from too many items. While I can accept the argument in part, I have a hard time getting over the fact that this announcement of unlimited scrap storage is now available, but it's only available if you're willing to pay $100 a year. Now, obviously, that's not the $100 item here, but it is something people have been asking for a long time, and now it's trapped behind a paywall. Not having an unlimited general stash makes sense for technical reasons. Having 5 to 500 rubber scrap is not a big difference in data. Having 5 to 500 different types of guns or clubs or outfits, that's a completely different situation. I will say that Outfits weigh 0.1 pounds, meaning you could technically have 8,000 outfits in the same space. You can hold a dozen big guns, but that's not really the issue we're talking about here. The issue with unlimited scrap storage means that for $100 a year, you can partially fix an issue that Bethesda first created and then was willing to sell you the fix for. While I've outlined why I can accept that general stash space can't be infinite while scrap stash space can, selling this after saying the stash size couldn't be increased due to technical issues could be seen as a lie by Bethesda, whether it is or not. Now that people have experienced the scrap box, we're seeing a new problem. Namely that some users are reporting that their scrap, when deposited, is disappearing. And it's at this point that I have to express my sincere displeasure with the fact that Bethesda does not appear to be running any sort of large-scale tests on any of these systems. Sitting here attempting to compose my thoughts on this debacle while faced with Bethesda's continuing appearance of complete incompetence in all things is making me want to quit writing this and go on to something else, like play Graveyard Keeper or Frostpunk or just go buy Outer Worlds, but I want to complete my thoughts on this, so let's move on. The Survival Tent. It's something that I've been wanting since the beta. When camp customization is such an aspect of the game, it doesn't make sense to move it every time you're in the middle of nowhere and you need to get access to your stash. I've seen people refer to this item, along with the scrap box, as pay-to-win features, and I understand the frustration with these items completely, with them being behind a paywall, but pay-to-win does not properly fit what these items are. When people have a problem with something, they have a tendency to attach a distasteful piece of terminology to it, and correct or not, they then use it to attack it. These items are pay-to-play, not play-to-win, or less concisely, they are pay to eliminate contrived obstacles. Bethesda created the world, including the inconveniences, and is now trying to sell us convenience. To be clear, I don't like these items being sold or being behind a paywall, but words do matter, and when we attack things, we need to attack them with the proper terminology, or it weakens the attack. To be clear, I'm against the basic refrigerator being available only on the Atomic Shop as well. Next, 1,650 atoms a month. Item 4. It's about $16.50 worth of atoms, and it's one of the better selling points of Fallout First. The $100 a year is approximately $8.33 a month, meaning you effectively are getting double your subscription cost in atoms. Obviously, atoms are digital currency usable only in their digital store, but if you're spending more than $8.33 on atoms a month anyway, this membership makes sense because you're not only getting double the number of atoms that if you're spending specifically $8.33, but you're also getting these other things as well. But I still refuse to purchase items directly until the game is more stable. Items 5 and 6 are Ranger Armor and emotes and icons. Effectively, we're talking about true cosmetics now. These items are persistent even if you leave the subscription behind. As long as the Ranger Armor is just an outfit and not actual armor, this is nothing but a fringe benefit and not pay to win. It's time to bring this back around though to my private server remarks. If they wanted to give these additional things to server renting players, calling them perks of renting a server, I don't think there'd be anything approaching the uproar that has surrounded the creation of this brand new subscription-based membership in Fallout First. The private worlds need to be made to work as private servers. If any of the 8 players, subscribers or not, that are part of this server log in, the server needs to be on. Likely the smart move for Bethesda would be to make characters mode exclusive. By this, if it wasn't clear already, characters need to be specific to adventure or to private worlds. This is not to say that you should lose everything from your main character in the adventure mode, but it's to say that they should allow you to copy a character from adventure to private, but not the other way around. As for the Scrapbox and Survival Tent, I don't in any way support the idea of paying real money to amend artificially created inconvenience, meaning I can't support the monetization of parts 2 and 3. To follow the path of Elder Scrolls Online, Bethesda should just allow items 5 and 6 to be purchased separately of the subscription. I conceived earlier today of a potential idea for some sort of subscription service that Bethesda could offer for Fallout 76. A lot of people want to see this game continue to develop. If they were to just create some sort of cheap subscription service, maybe even a tiered system, $5, $10, $15 a month, and for each one of those things you get a specific cosmetic item. Now, they could also then sell these items individually for basically double the cost of the subscription for people who don't want to pay the subscription but they still want to support the game, so they can buy this one item rather than staying along with the subscription. But that's completely different from what Bethesda is suggesting here. Just to close things, I am tempted by the thought of a private world, only because having to film in a private world would be so much easier than in the current situation. The other day I was going through West Tech trying to make sure I'd found every little piece of lore. I broke every weapon but my Black Diamond, leaving me with my terrible melee damage to beat super mutants to death with a ski sword. 2 minutes after the last fight, just starting to scope out the lore, I was suddenly engulfed in super mutants as one other player entered the facility and all of them respawned. Being the only person in the world would undoubtedly make the production of lore videos easier. That being said, I have to reiterate the following. First, the announcement of this service could not have come at a worse time. 2. The service should have been marketed as private servers with perks, not 6 equal items on a membership. Private servers need to be private servers, and they need characters specifically made for that mode. 3. The introduction of pay-to-play convenience items needs to stop. If Bethesda wants to fix annoyances in the game, add those fixes in patches or as free content. Don't sell us time savers or conveniences to fund production. Sell us cosmetics or even skins for existing in-game conveniences like the fridge. This has been the Original Cartographer. Thank you for watching. If you have a different take on these things, let me know in the comments and we can turn this monologue into a dialogue. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you again next time.